My name is Aaron, and if you're new here, make sure you start by hitting the subscribe button. I like to feature various Magic decks in constructed formats and record gameplay, especially live gameplay. And I played at F&M not too long ago, and I'm going to be revisiting an archetype that I played several months before that. I called it Mono Red Prowess Phoenix. If you're curious for the deck list, you can find it in the description, the link to Moxfield, or you can always check at Moxfield. And what I'm going to be doing now is breaking down the changes I made. And if you maybe aren't familiar with the deck archetype in general, I'll be explaining it. So if you're already familiar with it, there's the deck list. Go ahead and feel free to skip right into the rounds. Returning back, the background of this is way back in 2019. I think they called them Mythic Championships, but what we know as Pro Tours. Mythic Championship number 4, we called it the Hogak Summer. This is from Modern Horizons 1, where a card called Hogak Arisen Necropolis just ran rampant, beat everything. It was too fast, too resilient, had multiple bannings until finally they just banned the card Hogak out of the deck. So the deck disappeared, and along with it, they banned the card Faithless Looting. Faithless Looting was an engine for a lot of decks, and a lot of people were on board with banning it. 1 mana, draw 2, discard 2. On its own, it doesn't seem that strong, but it enables a lot of synergies and combos, and just, it is a very powerful card. Well, they unbanned it several months ago, from the recording of this video at least, and I don't think we're quite at a year yet, but either way, we've since then had Modern Horizons 2, Modern Horizons 3, Lord of the Rings. We've had a lot of other things in Power Creep. They wanted to bring some old Magic cards that grounded those old archetypes. So in that Pro Tour, in round number 16, the feature match was between Yelder Vikijma, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I forget the other guy's name, Lopez. But he was playing Mono Red Prowess or Prowess Phoenix. And the Phoenix it was referring to is Arc-like Phoenix, which was also a main archetype in the format, mostly blue-red, played Faithless Looting, and it would just play multiple spells in a turn and bring the Arc-like Phoenix back and attack and just kind of tempo you out that way. It was a pretty good deck. He was playing it in a Prowess shell. So it was mono red with like lightning bolts and stuff, and it played Prowess creatures. So Prowess is if when you cast a non-creature spell, that creature with Prowess gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. So you played 1 mana Prowess creatures. Some of them had haste and other abilities. And it also had an angle of Arc-like Phoenix, which doesn't have Prowess, but it does want you playing multiple spells in a turn. It's resilient to removal, which Prowess creatures are traditionally bad against. So you bad against removal, but you're fast with your Prowess creatures, good against removal with Arc-like Phoenix, and so those two angles make the deck pretty good. When they unbanned Faithless Looting, I wanted to revisit this archetype with some of the newer cards in the format. And I did that, and you can see the link to that video in the description. I thought it went pretty well. Well, since then, we've had a massive new print card called Cori-Steel Cutter, which it's hard to explain exactly why this card is so good if you don't already see it. An equipment card usually isn't something you want to play in your Prowess deck, but this card obviously creates Prowess tokens, but being an equipment, one can trigger your Prowess because it's a non-creature spell. It gives trample and haste. Trample's a big deal, and it's resilient to removal because it keeps making the tokens, and the equipment is an artifact which is not as easy to remove as a creature is. So when you combine all these things together, this card actually ends up fitting right in as a Prowess creature slot, and it's more resilient to removal than the traditional Prowess creatures are. So this was a massive upgrade. And I was already seeing this and thinking about some changes I wanted to make to the deck based on last time and just the deck archetype as a concept. And then I noticed a very popular modern streamer that goes by the nickname Aspiring Spike basically played what I had been planning to play the whole time. And I'm going to break that down here. So the things that didn't change, we're still playing Dragon's Rage Channeler. Now, this card is not technically a Prowess card. When you cast a non-creature spell, Surveil 1, it's not the same as +1/+1, but that synergy ends up working really well in terms of just fixing your draws and milling over into your Phoenixes. And it's too good to not play. And of course, if you play Dragon's Rage Channeler, you play Mishra's Bauble. It's a 0 mana spell that triggers Prowess / Surveil Prowess, and it replaces itself. 0 mana is important. So these are the things that did not change. Since we were playing Phoenix, of course, we are still playing Faithless Looting. This card is intrinsic card disadvantage unless you are either flashing it back, which is not card advantage, but is the second spell of, replacing itself as casting it again. And so it ends up just being filter. Unless you are discarding things for value. So this is Arc-like Phoenix. Okay, Here's where we're getting to the change. I was already eyeballing this card for Standard and Pioneer and even potentially Modern, which I thought would fit better. But the card on its own is not very powerful, especially by Modern standards. But I wanted to try it when I saw Aspiring Spike try it. I was like, okay, I must have been on to something. And this card is Bloodfeather Phoenix. So now we have two different Phoenixes. So there's as much Phoenix in the deck as there's Prowess, or maybe even more. So Bloodfeather Phoenix is a 2-mana 2/2 flyer that cannot block, which does matter. But if it's in your graveyard and an instant sorcery deals damage to an opponent or a battle, which doesn't really matter, you pay a red when it triggers or when the trigger resolves, and you turn it to the battlefield, and you can't. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. It gains haste until end of turn, so it ends up being another Phoenixy card. The reason this is good is it's more things to spend your mana on and bring back as resilient against removal, but it's more things to discard to your Faithless Looting, which is less card disadvantage. You're keeping the good cards that you want in your hand, you're getting rid of your Phoenixes, but the Phoenixes come back, so they're cards in the game. So this is very strong. So this is the shell I wanted to build around. And it ended up, the deck I was already working on was very, very close to card for card the same as Spike's list. Now, I went a few different routes. First of all, let's go over other things that didn't change. Obviously, you're playing Lightning Bolt. It's just too good on rate. You are playing the Steel Cutters. And I cut all the Prowess creatures. There's no Monastery Swift Spear. There's no Slick Shot Show Off, which isn't technically Prowess, but it is. So I cut those. And now there's really nothing that's threatened against removal except for, I suppose, the Dragon's Rage Channeler. But that card is good enough on its own, and if they're wasting their cards on that, they're just getting beat down. So other cards that didn't change, but the quantities did change. So obviously we're keeping Mishra's Bauble. Now this doesn't help Bloodfeather Phoenix or Arclight Phoenix. So it seems like a non-bow, but it's 0 mana. You're not losing anything. It's almost like you're playing a 56 card deck. Of course, Manamorphose goes without saying. It's like Mishra's Bauble that does count towards your Arclight Phoenix, and it draws you a card immediately. The downside is you have to have the 2 mana there to play, so you can't go Channeler into Manamorphose on turn 1, but it's definitely worth playing, especially with Arclight Phoenix. And Lava Dart is 2 spells, so it triggers things twice. You can discard to your Faithless Looting. This is a sort of Prowess staple card. The Sacrificing Mountain is not nothing, but your mana curve is like 0.7, or I don't know, I didn't do the math. And the other card is Gutshot, which was an interesting card. It's another 0 mana spell. It does not replace itself. Dealing 1 damage is about as good as it's ever been in Modern. There might have been a few windows where it was better, but it's good. I mean, especially for 0 mana. And what I used to mainly do with it is it was just another 0 mana spell that would trigger Prowess. But more importantly, it was enabling a card called Light Up the Stage, which has an ability called Spectacle, which lets you pay less mana for it. And it would just impulse draw. Exile the top 2 cards. You can play them until the end of your next turn. So like 1 full turn cycle. So it's card advantage. The problem with that card, as much as I like it, is it's not very good with 4 mana cards. You don't want to hit this card on an impulse draw. You want it in your hand and then discard it into your graveyard. And the list from the Pro Tour did play it, and so I played it in mine. And it was still like good. I wouldn't say it was bad, but I'm moving in a different direction, which Spike saw as well. So I upped my Gutshot count to 4. Now I know what you're thinking, Aaron. Why would you increase this card, which is relatively low in its power, when you don't have Spectacle to enable? There's a few reasons. I'll point out the obvious ones. The most obvious one is Cori-Steel Cutter. You want to be able to go turn to Steel Cutter trigger as frequently as you can. And so here's the only real ways that I can think of that you can do this. On turn 2, you go Steel Cutter Bauble, which is the traditional way that all the Steel Cutter decks play. You can go Steel Cutter Gutshot, which is that does just as well and might even kill something. So you're going up on cards. You kill their thing, I get a dude attack. Now, if you're just hitting them for 1, that's not great, but you want to pressure them because you want to be fast. So it's usually worth the exchange. The only other way you can trigger a Steel Cutter on turn 2 in this deck is if you like go Faithless Looting or Surveil on turn 1 and you mill over your Dart and then you go Steel Cutter Dart, but then you're down a land. Sometimes that is worth it, but that's the only other way, and usually you don't want to do that. Now, triggering Steel Cutter on turn 3 is very easy because there's a lot of 1/0 mana spells, but that brings in the other card, which is Highway Robbery. I played it as a 1/of, I believe, in my previous list. I have upped it to 4. Now, it's a lot. This card is not very powerful, so you might be skeptical, but hear me out. Being able to plot it is not nothing. In fact, playing something like that for 0 mana is very good. The fact that you don't have to discard a card and you choose to on resolution is also good. So you can sacrifice a land and later in the game go up on cards. But more importantly, we have more things to discard in Bloodfeather Phoenix. So now having extra ways to discard that aren't just Faithless Looting and keep you at card parity is pretty good. And the Bloodfeather Phoenix is that real kicker card that's making the 4 gut shots even better, because 0 mana gut shot trigger your Bloodfeather Phoenix is actually quite powerful, because playing 3 instants and sorceries in a turn in a deck that's playing Cori-Steel Cutter, Mish's Bauble artifacts makes getting the Arc-like Phoenix not as easy as you would in a dedicated Arc-like Phoenix deck with blue mana and a lot of cantrips, 1 blue mana, draw a card, draw a card. So the balance ended up being pretty strong between the flying haste recurring creatures from the graveyard, the card selection Faithless Looting hitting your land drops, Channeler setting up your draws, milling over your graveyard payoffs, and just the power of Steel Cutter and its resiliency, all working together with these 0 mana spells and lightning bolts. It actually played out pretty good. One lesson I learned from last time is I did include at least one surveil land. It was 1 or 2. It was for sure going to be 1. I went with 1. Didn't really feel like I needed more, but I wouldn't be against it if you wanted to play more. The slight white splash that I am playing, it's really a mono red deck. The only white card is this Wear Tear. And the Wear side will allow me to destroy problem enchantments like High Noon that turned off a deck like mine. Other than that, it's pretty basic. We have your Blood Moon effects, some graveyard hate in the form of Surgical Extraction, Tormod's Crypt. Now, I know you might be thinking Tormod's Crypt is a overall inferior card to Surgical Extraction. That's debatable. I like the idea that I can cast my Tormod's Crypt proactively on my turn to trigger things, even though I have less Prowess creatures. But, you can cut your Mishra's Baubles for them and still be on par with your Steel Cutters. And then it's sit there like Seal of Nuke your graveyard later if it's a big dedicated graveyard deck. Now, those aren't around as much, but I didn't want to radically change that too much. And it didn't end up coming up in the FNM I played in. So that's the list. I'm going to go ahead and be moving on to round number 1. All right, here in round number 1, my opponent was playing an Eldrazi list. And so he has his Devourer of Destinies on turn 1, which is pretty good, or turn 0, I guess. I believe, yes, my opponent did win the die roll and is on the play. He starts off, I forget the name of this card, but it has a kicker ability, or maybe it's like multi-kicker, I don't know. It's like either or kicker, where you can bounce a creature or exile an artifact or enchantment on cast, and it's a 2/2 Eldrazi. So he has a 2/1, 2/2, so a 2/2 for 1, pretty good. And then he plays Eldrazi Linebreaker. That made me nervous. I have learned many hard lessons from Eldrazi Linebreaker. And so I'm like, you just can't let this thing live. It's incredibly powerful, and I think it was a missing piece to make Eldrazi Aggro viable, even though it may not be as viable now as it has been in the past. I'm not really sure where the modern metagame is right now. So I immediately kill it, take 2 damage, and my opponent is angling himself as the beatdown, but I'm definitely the beatdown in this matchup because my opponent has a much stronger late game plan than I do. Although I gotta admit, for a mono red aggressive deck, this deck is resilient and has a good late game with all the changes we talked about. Anyway, so I went ahead and plot the Highway Robbery, which suggests I do have something like Phoenix or a Steel Cutter in my hand. And with Phoenix and Steel Cutter, even though those two cards don't necessarily work well together, okay, so I do not have Steel Cutter. I have the Bloodfeather Phoenix, which didn't work in either way. Yeah, I guess I just had nothing better going on. I didn't have Faithless Looting, so I couldn't get the Phoenix in play. Ooh, I top deck Steel Cutter. Interesting. But I don't have any lands, I don't think. However, this Highway Robbery could draw me into lands. So if I have a good turn here, perhaps I could hit him and start winning the race. Now, the Slot Seer is going to gum up the ground for my tokens. But if I have enough triggers, maybe I can get through. Okay, I did not find land from what I can tell. I drew another Steel Cutter, and I have the Gut Shot, but I just didn't get my land. So Steel Cutter can trigger on your turn and your opponent's turn. So I'm thinking here, I can just easily chump block his creatures. I could try to trade with his guy. We've got a Reader. This is not a typical modern power level card. I think it just happens to work with the synergy of my deck. Okay, so he's going to exile it and I think make 2 guys. Now, it looks like he's missing his land drop. And so I remember thinking at the time, okay, he needs the mana here to play something bigger. And I know he has the Devour Destinies in his hand, and that card's going to be hard to beat. Just a big creature against my little red creatures. Okay, so I have Gutshot, Steel Cutter, Manamorphose. I think here I'm deciding on, do I want to kill this guy or just eat 4 damage on a hit? And right now I just need as much time as I can get. Okay, I found land number 3. This is important. If I play this right, I can potentially have 2 Steel Cutter triggers on my turn, like one on my turn, one on his turn. That should be enough dudes to gum up his attack. I'm still a little worried about him finding his payoffs, but my 1 damage, I could aim at his spawn tokens up there in the corner. I think that's what I remember thinking. So I go ahead and take out one of his guys, which gives me a couple of tokens. And I should be free to attack here. I don't remember if I do, but I should be attacking here. Yes. Okay. So I hit him for 4. He's still a little bit in the lead in terms of tempo. And if he keeps missing his land drops, I think that's good for me. But that also means he's got all gas in his hand. So it's a lot of interesting things to consider here. And as you can see, my opponent agrees. He's kind of in the tank a bit. He did not hit his land. He's got a Fleshraker. Okay, so here I'm thinking about, okay, I could trigger it again and then maybe double block on the Thought-Knot Seer and draw a card, which will help a little bit the fact that I'm kind of going down on resources to do this. So I lose a card in my hand, I lose a land. But I go up on the battlefield, and then I replace 1 card in my hand by killing the Thought-Knot Seer. So that was my justification for this exchange. I'm thinking if I can just not get too low on my life total, I should be in good shape. Fleshraker is a problem, but with no follow-up play, I think I can get around it. Okay, I draw Highway Robbery. I have Manamorphose. I have another land. That's good. So what is my game plan here? I play the Channeler. Okay. So Channeler first could potentially be a strong thing. It looks like I'm going to trigger the Steel Cutters again. I don't think there's any way for me to have lethal this turn. I'd have to hit all 4 Manamorphose in a row or something crazy. Okay, there's 1 Manamorphose. That's the beginning. Okay, do you have to remember, track the Prowess separately. Morphos is a very strong magic card in the right deck. Opponent's sitting there acting like he could have something. I get rid of Steel Cutter number 3. Not really what I need at this point. I draw Steel Cutter 4. Jeez. Casting it doesn't do a whole lot here, I don't think. But I guess I have nothing else going on. I have 2 cards in hand. Oh, Highway Robbery. I actually think I like that. The problem is, do I discard or do I sack a land? I decided to sack a land. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I find Manamorphose, which I have no floating mana, but I have a Gutshot in my hand. So let's see. That's 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 trample damage, and he has 4 toughness, so he's nowhere near dead. What 1 card could he top deck that would kill me? So if he has Temple, if he top decks another Temple, he'll have 2, 4, 5, 6 mana. So I don't think there's any 6 drops that are that strong against me. Making me feel better about killing those spawns. Okay, so now I feel like I'm back in the lead. Like, there's no 1 card my opponent could have here that would just devastate my board. My opponent looks at his hand. I don't think he hit his land again, so he's getting a little mana screwed, but double Steel Cutter's putting in some work here. Didn't have any Phoenixes. Looks like he has a Sowing Mycospawn. So it's going to hit me for 2. He's going to finally get his land. And is this enough? So he's got 3 blockers if he assumes I just have nothing in my hand. I think having the Gutshot is a pretty big deal, especially if I can play a second spell, which is another Steel Cutter. So that's going to be brutal. So as far as I can think, there's no 1 card my opponent could have here that would stop me from dealing lethal. Oh, and I have a Manamorphose. Actually, my hand's pretty stacked. I drew those 2 cards off. Highway Robbery was pretty good. I think he just scoops it up. So he realizes he can't win. Let's check out game number 2. All right, here we are for game 2, and my opponent keeps his 7. And I believe I do. Actually, I don't remember, to be honest, the mulligans. I know I mulliganed to 6 once or twice in the whole event. A turn 2 Fleshraker on the play, it's pretty good. And I'm sitting there like, uh-oh, I am in danger. Second Dragon's Rage Channeler into action is very strong, and I've had a lot of successful turns with it, but it can be a little difficult to navigate. And if I remember right, I made some questionable decisions. And I remember in the moment, I'm like, I don't know if this is right, but I'm already kind of committed to it. So I'm kind of hoping to like flip into multiple Phoenixes instead of a big turn on the following turn or something like that. Or maybe if I hit like Phoenix's lava darts, maybe I could bring him back. But that's like, okay, so I'm right now I'm deciding to keep whether I want to keep this card. Like if it was a Steel Cutter, would I keep it? If it's a Lightning Bolt, would I keep it? I'm trying to think of cards I would want in my hand. So that suggests to me it's not, yeah, it's a Steel Cutter. Like, do I want that? I don't know. I get rid of Highway Robbery. Am I looking for like land 3 maybe? Okay, so I have Faithless Looting. I'm discarding Phoenix plus land, which suggests I don't need the land. I think I saw Manamorphose in my hand. Okay, so I think I was looking for Arc-like Phoenix because yeah. See, I committed to it. I think it was wrong, but I also wanted to kill the Fleshraker. Maybe that was my logic. I was just really hoping to hit Arc-like Phoenix, which I did not. So, because I would have had more damage there. That clock would have been very strong. All right, so my opponent is hitting his third land drop, and he's got the guy that makes, I forget his name, the Popper All-Star that makes 2 spawn, and when you sack a spawn, he gets a +1 counter or something like that. Very strong card for here, but I don't think he has reach. And since my DRCs are delirious, is that the word? Delirious. See, burning all those gut shots is, I'm feeling like I have a Steel Cutter in my hand. Still no Arc-like Phoenix. And now I'm burning these Manamorphose looking for it because I've already committed to it. And now the Steel Cutter is going to look, double Steel Cutter is my hand. It's weird set of draws. Unfortunately, he does get to see the Blood Moon, which I didn't like. Oh, now I draw into my hand a Phoenix. I'm like, man. Almost wishing I didn't get rid of that third land. So I cast the Steel Cutter, doesn't get to trigger. I must attack, but I would attack anyway, because I am the aggressor. And I'm feeling okay. I don't like the board my opponent has. But without the Fleshraker, I'm feeling a little safer. I think I just don't want him to untap with that card ever. Okay, he has Swing Michael Spawn and a land. So he's thinking here, he's got enough mana. If he kicks Michael Spawn, he saw I missed my land drop and I discarded a land. So he's kind of realizing I'm not trying to keep a third land necessarily, but one land would be much harder to operate. I've played a bunch of 2-drops. And I think that's what he's doing. He's going to kick his Swing Michael Spawn, which means he destroys my land. I don't remember. It might be Exile. I put it in the graveyard. We're just kind of we're bantering when we're playing, and I'm already kind of seeing the writing on the wall. And then he exiles my graveyard. Excellent play by my opponent. I did not see that coming. I'm not that heavy of a graveyard deck, but it does take Delirium away from my channelers, which could be good in certain scenarios where I really need to block. I don't know if that's the scenario we're in. I'm at 15. He doesn't have like super giant creatures or anything. So he attacks me for 3. I gladly take that. Or did I take 2 there? That guy only at 2/2? Or is it 2/3? I think he's at 2/3. I don't know. It's possible I mess it up. I make mistakes all the time. So I hit my land, lucky me. But I don't think I can trigger the Steel Cutter. I would have to exactly mill over Lava Dart. I am middle of a Lightning Bolt, which sucks. And not good. This is going to be tough. And my last card in hand is an Arc-like Phoenix. So my hand is not good. My battlefield's kind of not great if I can't trigger these Steel Cutters. So I don't have access to the looting anymore. Now my opponent's going to play another spell. Uh-oh. Okay, I look at that guy and I'm thinking, I am in trouble. He has large board, trample. This is bad. This is, I didn't get the early enough pressure to put him down low. Otherwise, I could afford to take a hit here. So he swings with everything. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to probably block something. So I block that guy because he can get bigger. And I take a bunch of damage down to 2. Oof. So what's the best top pick here? I draw Lightning Bolt, which is a fine card. But I still am on... Like, if I don't mill exactly Lava Dart, I'm just dead. But if I do mill Lava Dart, is he dead? And I'm also trying to think, do I go at him? Do I go at his spawn here? Let's say I go at him and I mill Lava Dart. And I dart a spawn and I attack. And I would have Delirium. Okay, I don't. I scoop it up anyway. He's got me dead to that Fleshraker. Let's go ahead and check out game number 3. Right, game 3, I finally get to be on the play. But my opponent does have the good turn 1 Devour, and I have my best turn 1 in DRC, so we're both potentially our more optimized draws. Being on the play, obviously, is a big deal anytime you're playing red, but it seems at this point in Magic's history, it's a big deal, period. I mean, even if just being an extra turn up on an aggressive deck helps you survive longer and get to your late game plan. All right, so he's got a land, the aggressive, I forgot his name, Line Breaker. Did he keep the land? I didn't catch it. But anyway, Cavern and Pass is exactly what I want to see. I don't want him developing anything. No hate cards, no Chalice of the Void. Okay, so looting mill over DRC. At this point, I don't want to waste a draw step on a second one. Double Bloodfeather Phoenix. An interesting play, and then a Surveil. So it's an okay turn. I do not have Delirium, sorcery creature land. I do not have Delirium. So I decide to mill. Oh, now I have Delirium, but at the cost of a lightning bolt. Was it worth it? You tell me. Okay, so what's the best play my opponent could have here? He has 2 mana, and his deck doesn't really have a lot of 2 mana spells that you want to be spending 2 mana on. No kicker or anything. So he just passes. That is exactly what I want to see. And then I have a Blood Moon. This is about as lights out for my opponent as it gets. And I mill a Phoenix. It's just like all good. So I have a clock on him. I have my hate card. He has no board. There's not a lot he can play without having access to colorless mana, but he does have the basic force in his hand. So that gives him access to I forget the creature that makes 2 spawns. So the spawns would give him colorless mana, but it might be a little too late. His hand is everything requiring colorless mana, except I don't know if he has that it's a 4-drop anyway. So that's a whole turn, and by then it might be too late. So I need to make the most out of this turn here. This is the turn that Blood Moon's going to buy me. I wasn't sure if it was right to bring it in, but it seemed he didn't play talismans or anything, so it seemed good. Oh, and I have the Steel Cutter. And I mill another Phoenix. Let's go. I don't remember if I get them back, though, to be honest. I don't remember if I have Manamorphose here. Okay, there is instant number 1. He just scoops. He's like, yeah, I see all of it. I don't want to. So I don't know if I would have got it out. I don't remember my hand. But we do manage to get the W. Let's go ahead and move on to round number 2. Round 2, I believe my opponent was on an artifact, Emry, Tamio. Oh, nope. I think I had the wrong video file here. Yes, I believe it was, I believe my opponent was on an artifact like Emry. It's basically the Breach deck without Breach. But I get to be on the play this time, and I have a good start with Bobble You, and I keep my card on top. It looked like it was a Steel Cutter, or maybe it was a second land. I think it was a Steel Cutter. I didn't get a good look at it. It's a little hard to see things with it moving so quickly, but my opponent starts with a untapped an untapped Hollowed Fountain, and he has a turn 1 portable. No, I'm thinking different round. Spoilers, but he does play Portable Hole. He has a Tamio. I'm undecided how I feel about the Tamio. I have double bolt in my hand, Steel Cutter, so my hand's like pretty good. And since I didn't have a way to trigger the Steel Cutter, I decided to just bolt the Tamio now, and it lets me attack through it. So now I have Delirium, and I don't know why I do this now, to be honest. Why Surveil now? What do I gain out of surveilling now? I already have Delirium. See, I'm not sure why I made that decision. An Urza Saga. So now I kind of understand my opponent's on some kind of high card quality brew of artifact stuff. Now the top decked Soul Guide Lantern is actually pretty good. There's the Portable Hole. So now I'm like, the Steel Cutter is good against stuff like this, and I draw Bobble. So this is exactly what I want to see. I need my best card against Graveyard Hate. So Steel Cutter getting in there. I Bobble him, draw my card. I draw Bloodfeather Phoenix, that's another potential upside. It's only 2 mana to cast, whereas Arclight Phoenix is a 4-drop. The size of the construct tokens from Urza Saga is going to be a little bit of a problem. So I have to keep that in mind when attacking with my tokens. Draw land number 3. I don't really want more than 3 lands, but it looks like I should be able to get a second Steel Cutter draw here, or trigger. And the good thing about that is I can just kind of go wide enough, which Steel Cutter also does. Makes Prowess creatures that go wide, so it can kind of attack through these construct tokens. So this is an attack for 4. My opponent is deciding on whether he wants to shock or not and block with this token. The token will be a 3/3, which will outsize the Steel Cutter tokens. And I think I bolt the token here before blocks. I'm not sure if it was right, but I decided to do it. It pushes more damage, so it ends up being 6 damage. So clearly I'm the aggressor. I'm trying to get him dead fast before he accumulates enough resources to overwhelm me, which he easily can do. So he's got his Urza Saga triggered, deciding if he wants to spend the mana on another blocker. I have 1 card in my hand, so the odds that I double spell are not very high next turn. But I also have a 2/2 flyer. And you can just equip the Steel Cutter to make a 3/3 flyer, 2-turn clock. It gets Box Opal to dampen down the mana problem by investing into the token, and the token becomes unboltable. So all good things for him. Gets his land drop, so he's good on mana. He's got 4 cards in his hand. So I don't feel like I've just won this game. Yeah, the life total may look like I'm way ahead, but it's not an auto win here. I remember feeling a little uneasy because I'm like, if he gets to Shadow Spear, which he didn't get, which was good for me, and he connects and gets out of death range, I'm in a little bit of trouble. I think that was a DRC. I didn't get a good look at it. So another thing I could do is play DRC, equip it for haste. I have Delirium, but he could nuke the Delirium. He could nuke the Delirium down. And my tokens are just 1/1s, which I believe he asks me. It's like, the tokens just 1/1s? I'm like, yeah. So if he nukes the Delirium, let me make sure. Artifact, instant, creature, land. Yeah, so he could nuke Delirium, bring DRC out of the sky, block it with his construct, take 4, and he would go to 1, which makes his fetch land unusable. Okay, he has Repeal and Token, very strong play. Replaces itself, takes a token away. Repeal being playable again is right up my alley. All right, so he does decide to do the play. So now he only takes 3 damage down to 2. Being at 2 is a little risky against a Lightning Bolt deck. I have a lot of burn options. Most of my burn is low, like 1 damage, but some of it, like a Lava Dart's 1 damage, but technically could be 2 damage in 1 card. So being at 1 life is not easy. He turns off his fetch lands. He's surveilling in desperation mode. My opponent is definitely losing this game, but he's not fully out. All he really needs to do is find a way to deal with this Bloodfeather Phoenix in the air. And there it is. So he finds Aether Spellbomb, which can return to my hand. That buys some time. And I'm aware of this. And the correct way to do it is to do it on my attack step. That buys a whole, makes me invest my mana again. And very good for him. The downside for him is it can give me more spells to trigger Steel Cutter again. And it looks like my hand is a Steel Cutter and a land. So this could actually be good for me. It seems like I'm primarily relying on the flying to finish him off. So I present the attack. I know what he's representing. He's just checking to make sure there's no other abilities. He's representing the Spell Bomb, which he looks like he's using. And so now I'm like, okay, it sucks it's post-combat, but it's enough bodies. I get double Steel Cutter trigger by casting Steel Cutter into the Phoenix he bounced. So he gave me that second spell, but he survives another turn. And he counters the Phoenix. Okay, so now he's like, I've got the skies taken care of. Now he just has to figure out, how do I deal with how many creatures he has? Do you have lifelink? Can you make a bunch of tokens? Okay, there's 2 blockers. And a removal spell. Okay, so he might be stabilizing here. It's getting a little scary. I need a good top deck. What is my top deck? I could equip the Steel Cutter. I drew something. Oh, gut shot. He's like, yeah, okay, you got it. I was like, gut shot you for the win. I was really like, gut shot in case somehow he gains life or something, and then maybe the tokens could finish you off. But I managed to steal game number 1. Let's check out game number 2. All right, being on the draw is not ideal, but that at least puts me on the play if we go to game number 3, and I see that my hand has a Wear Tear, which is very good against his deck, and destroy artifact, enchantment, or both. Being able to destroy an enchantment is good because Urza Saga is an enchantment and his land drop, so I could really set him back on tempo. And there it is. So my opponent has his own Steel Cutter, which I did not get to see game one, and he triggers it. So now he's actually a turn ahead of me because he played his Mox. So it's like a second land drop, and he's attacking. And he has Emry. Wow. Emry is going to be a problem for me, and he mills over a portable hole. So I'm just thinking, well, I had this Wear Tear in my hand. I could kill the Steel Cutter, but then Emry can just cast it again. And then if I let him keep Urza Saga, I'm just in trouble. So what looks like a decent draw for me. I have Steel Cutter, I have Phoenix, I have uh, Dart. I have a lot of options here. And I'm just sitting there looking at his board, and I'm like, I don't think I can beat what he's got. I mean, he's going to get Shadow Spear and or Graveyard Hate with his Saga. Saga can make tokens. I forced a shock here for my white source. I'm just trying to think, do I take out his... I guess I decide I do. So I take out his Urza Saga. I mill over Phoenix, which is good. Not sure it matters. Can't block. I don't have any mana. I have this gut shot that I could trigger the Phoenix. And so I'm deciding if I think that's worth it. Because if I use it now, I don't have it for Bloodfeather Phoenix next turn, but then I may not be able to get Arclight Phoenix next turn. So it's kind of awkward. I think I decide to use it now because I think Arclight Phoenix is overall just a little harder to get. So I use it. I get the Phoenix. Not sure how good this is, but not having to worry as much about Graveyard Hate and Lifelink. I decide I want to race him. And I do have Delirium, so I have 6 flying power, which is decent, but he has a portable hole. And he's thinking here, does he portable hole with his Mox Opal mana? Or does he have Metalcraft? Yeah, he does. So the Clue token's given him Metalcraft. Nice synergy there with Tameo, which is just an absurdly powerful magic card. He decides to portable hole, takes down the DRC, which is probably smart, and it's a flying threat he can't easily answer without getting rid of his Tameo. If he can flip his Tameo here, he'll be in good shape. Okay, so he's playing a second spell. I can't really see what that is. Looks like a picture of Cloud, but I'm not sure what that card is. I don't know what that card is. Can't remember. Some skin of something. Oh, Ragavan. I think it's a Ragavan. Okay. Interesting card. So, yeah, I'm not as familiar with the new skins. So I plot a highway robbery. I think it's being plotted, right? Or am I just using it? Nope, I plotted it. I'm not sure about that decision, to be honest. I think in my head, I'm thinking about my Steel Cutter. But now my opponent's going to start going crazy because he has a stinking Emry. Okay, so what's he doing here? He repealed his Mox Opal, which easily gives him Flurry. Very strong for my opponent. My opponent is Steel Cuttering better than I ever wish I could. So he replayed his Mox Opal. That was the second spell. He's playing a Bobble, which is a Prowess trigger. So as far as attackers, he's replaying his Bobble. So he's going to refill his hand too, and more Prowess triggers. Very, very strong. I'm liking this deck. It can go fast with Steel Cutter, and it can play a much better long game than my deck can with Urza Sagas and Artifact Synergies and Bullets. And it can accelerate a little faster with Mox Opals. So he's got a lot of power. I'm only sitting at 9 life. Of that power, a lot of it is Trample. 5 Trample. I think I have Lightning Bolt in my hand, but do I? Wouldn't I have used it already? Oh, and he has... Oh, he drew the Shadow Spear. But it probably just doesn't matter. I guess I don't have Bolt in my hand. So I'm thinking, I guess I'm going to have to block something. And it just didn't matter. So even if I block 6 of it, it was way more than 9 damage. All right, let's see how game number 3 goes. Okay, game 3, I at least get to be on the play. I didn't mulligan very much this deck. I think I only mulliganed once, if I remember right. And I'm not sure why. So I mill over a gut shot. I draw land 2. So I think I have 2 or 3 lands in my hand. It's not great, but, you know, Faithless Looting helps with that. So the deck works together pretty well. And I think my opponent just decides to play 6 permanents on turn 1. So we are playing Modern. We are playing Modern. So he has Emry, Tameo, Mox Opal, Mox Amber, Portable Hole, Kill My Thing. And I'm like, well, this is a fun game of Magic. I'll just plot a highway robbery. We are playing equally powerful turns. And I remember as this happened, I had a crowd of people watching me. He's like, well, that's fun. Feels like vintage. And he's a Steel Cutter, and I'm just thinking, well, I have a Wear Tear in my hand, which would normally answer the Steel Cutter, but how am I going to beat the Emry? So ideally, I would kill Emry first, and he does the repeal play again. So this is not good for me. And he can hold Mox Opal to play it for later turn if he wants to. Okay, we make a little mishap here. I don't think we talk about it. It's not really a big deal. He attacks with Tamiyo and not his token, does a few things, and then he attacks with his token. So, and he flips his Tamiyo with information and then attacks again. Really, he should just attacked all at once. It's not a big deal. Think of it as a very sloppy shortcut. That's kind of how I treated it. Because I was already in my brain. I was like, I'm dead. I've lost this game on turn one. Okay, so Wear Tear, I drew my good cards. It just doesn't matter. Look how strong his battlefield is. So I didn't draw anything, get rid of a land, draw land. So at least of all my bad draws, I would waste it on his best possible draw. Because that was awesome. Makes me like this deck quite a bit, actually. I'm sitting there thinking I just can't beat the Emry. I remember thinking that. I'm like, I can answer the Steel Cutter, or could have answered the Steel Cutter. But if Emry's just recasting it, it's meaningless for me to kill the Steel Cutter. So I scooped and we chit-chatted about it. I did not catch that he attacked, did things, and then attacked again. Because it's like treating it doesn't feel like Tamiyo's attacking in your combat step. So that's why that mistake is understandable. Now, had this been a qualifier or competitive REL, I would have enforced the fact that no, you attacked. I didn't catch it because I was so distracted and hypnotized by his powerful turn one. But for the sake of F&M, and we're just making a video, it's like, okay, think of it as a sloppy shortcut. So he did get me there, but I'm okay losing to a draw like that. Let's go ahead and check out the last round. This final round is the perfect ending because last time I played this archetype, even though it was very different, I played the same person with the same deck, which is Blue-Red Splinter Twin. So it's like a rematch. He has a chance for revenge. I did manage to take it in game number 3, but I was also playing an Underworld Breach in my deck, which is a now banned card. And a lot has changed since then, so let's see. I start off with the DRC, and he reservoirs 2 energy to kill it. Very good exchange for him. In fact, that's the best target in my deck for his spell because I've taken out all my other prowess cards. So I decided to play DRC again, and I get to see up to 3 new cards. Getting rid of a Highway Robber here seems interesting. I discard. We have another reader for this not power level worthy card, Bloodfeather Phoenix. But I also get rid of a Lava Dart, which is very good. So I'm threatening a lot of action next turn. All right, my opponent goes land go with 2 energy in the reserve. So I'm expecting counterspell, all sorts of possibilities here. I play a Steel Cutter, an excellent target for his counterspell. Even knowing he's going to counterspell, I need to just jam things. That's just what I need to be doing. Did I resolve my... Yeah. So I still get a Surveil trigger, which is important. I get rid of a Gut Shot, which is interesting because I have a Bloodfeather Phoenix in my graveyard, but maybe I'm thinking I just don't want to draw it after this turn. Is that what I'm thinking? I don't know. So I see a land in my hand, which is not good, but I get to use one of my lands for a Lava Dart, which is nice. I get to Surveil again, see how the synergy working. I decide to go ahead and use it on Bloodfeather Phoenix. So this is a turn which is pretty good. I get the Phoenix back. I wouldn't have been able to do it with Arc-like Phoenix. It's 1 less damage. And I should have Delirium with that Cori-Steel Cutter in my graveyard. So that's a nice 5-turn flying clock, or sorry, 5-power flying clock, which he has 2 more turns with the clock as it is. I draw a Faithful Suiting, which is not bad. I'll probably keep just any spell. I guess not like Lava Darts or something. So I decided to draw, what was it? It was a Steel Cutter, and I have an Arc-like Phoenix, which I'm not that close to using. So Arc-like Phoenix is not being triggered as frequently, even though I don't have any less instants and sorceries in my deck than I did. I have the same number. So it might have just been the nature of sequencing with Steel Cutter, but I think Steel Cutter is worth it, even if Arc-like Phoenix doesn't get triggered as much. Get rid of a land, very good. But I'm not going to trigger the Steel Cutter, so I just have 5 more power, and Snapcaster will take out the DRC again. It's interesting. I guess he wanted to see what else I was going to do in case he wanted to use another counterspell in his hand, but you'd think he would. So Thunder Trap Trainer here, Flare of Denial. So he's doing things. I would assume you'd want to kill the DRC earlier, so I don't filter. I would have top decked 2 or 3 pretty bad cards there. Okay, I have a Looting in my graveyard, I think. So that's good. Looting's looking good here. Oh, too bad. That was a great draw there. I could have done that into looting or into whatever spell I play. So he gets rid of Thunder Trap Trainer. Does not block great against my deck anyway. So I'm getting a little nervous. He's still high enough to survive another turn, and he could easily have the combo here. I'm top decking. So I decided to flash looting back instead of equip. I'm not sure I agree with that decision, even though 2 lands is bad. So, but I could have had 2-turn clock. I guess if I trigger Steel Cutter, it's a 2-turn clock anyway. So I guess I'm hoping I hit spells. So that was a questionable decision. I could have attacked for 3 there. But I guess I was thinking if he has a removal spell anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm clearly looking to draw something. Highway Robbery. Not bad. I guess I'm in the sacrifice a land mode, unless my last card's a land. He decides to counter it, which is smart by him. What is my last card? Curious. A Gut Shot. Interesting. Do I have a Bloodfeather Phoenix? I decided to kill his blocker. Oh, and that's enough damage, of course. That triggers Steel Cutter. So I take game number 1. I don't know if he had the combo in his hand, but he was like a turn away from using it. So if he had it there, he could have tapped down a guy, blocked, untapped, kill me. So I'm guessing that means he didn't have it. All right, let's go ahead and go to game number 2. All right, game 2, my opponent's on the play, which for a turn 4 combo deck is always scary. And I have nothing on turn 1, which guess what that means? The Surveillance is going to pay off. Absolutely, it's worth it. Surveillance are so good with fetch lands. It is insane how good they are, in fact. I radically underestimated them when Modern Horizons 3 came out. I should have been playing them from the beginning. I didn't think about it. I'm just like, oh, it's another slightly better, I guess, Scryland, and those are way power crept out of being playable. I'm wrong. Don't listen to the old me. Listen to the me now. Play them in your decks. Fetches. So being able, it's like casting a spell. It's like right here, I'm basically casting a spell. Gives you more turn 1 things to do if you don't need to spend your mana, among other things. Okay, so I have a DRC. I don't know if that means I drew it, because I think playing DRC turn 1 is better. I'm like, attack you, and he goes, block, because this is 0-3. I'm like, well, I have to fake you out like I have a gut shot or something. But my opponent was smart. All right. Not having double blue is good for me. Let's see what I can pull off. My hand is interesting. Oh, I do have land number 3. Okay, so land number 3 is going to be good. DRC into looting. Okay, so I get a second token. I've got some pressure. My opponent's still at 19 life, so... Sorry, it's, turn 3. So turn 3, I'm only going to be hitting for 4? I didn't untap my guy, but anyway. Okay, what am I doing here? I have Arc-like Phoenix and Bloodfeather Phoenix. I have played Faithless Looting, Steel Cutter, so I only have 1 instant or sorcery. Ooh, a lot of triggers. So I'm doing some things. I have Lightning Bolt in my hand, but I can't cast that and get the Phoenix back, so I think I'd rather get the Phoenix back. Mill over another Lightning Bolt. I decide to use it on the Phoenix, so I hit him with the Gut Shot. Makes sense. Phoenix has haste from its ability. I have another Gut Shot, so this means more Prowess triggers, more Surveil triggers, and I will be getting that Arc-like Phoenix back if only I hit another one. I decided to keep the top card of my library. I'm not sure what it is. I guess that's scary for him. So we're making sure all of the triggers are correct. So there's 3 Prowess triggers on 1 Monk token, and there's only 2 on the other because it didn't see the first instant the turn it came into play, or the moment the trigger resolved. So I triggered the Arc-like Phoenix. This is turn 3. It's pretty good, actually. So I'm attacking for 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. No. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wow. That's quite the game. So he cycles his clue. Ooh, he does not hit his second blue mana. It's not good for him. It looks like he has a flare denial, so he has a counterspell, but I have so much power on the board. I don't know how he can survive this. Second Cori-Steel Cutter in my hand, so I cast it. He counters it. Okay. And I'm like, dang, but I have a Lightning Bolt, and he scoops it up. Lightning Bolt is going to trigger the Steel Cutter again, and he goes to 1, and I have just a billion power, basically. So that was the deck. I liked it a lot. I'm going to play it again. I may feature it on the channel again if you guys like it. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Give me some more suggestions. I'm going to be working on the sideboard a little bit more too. But the main board feels pretty good. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching.